Brick by brick, you get your boy Big Wall, and you already know the vibes when you see the big homie PStock next to me. You know what type of time we on. We are here to do what we do best, and that's address the culture. What's going on with you, P?
Hey, bro, you know what time it is. Every show is like a family reunion. We all back together again. That's the way it goes down here on Just the Culture. And hey, it's no different tonight. No different
Yeah,
here in the second season.
yeah,
Kicking it off. With a great iconic show.
yeah,
It
yeah,
don't get no better than this.
yeah.
The guests we
Legendary.
have, legendary. For a long time, you hear the name and you think it's a ghost. Oh, you don't know what you talk about.
It's a
No,
myth.
no,
It's a
yeah,
myth.
no, he ain't real. He ain't real. That was man. Listen. So this right here is like, it's like the top, the pinnacle of it, of childhood, growing up, in the air. And I grew up with relatives that were Panthers. They came from Vietnam,
Yeah,
and they all joined the Black Panther movement, and they was doing their thing, and that's where I first heard the name. At that time, Steve Muhammad. And it
yeah.
was like one of those things, like, who's that? Who's that? They talk about he's bad, boy. People used to always say, boy, better than Bruce Lee, man. We gotta go. We gotta know. So it's one of those events. So this is a great show, and like we talk
Yeah,
about, hip hop and martial arts, go hand in hand.
absolutely.
Hip hop, of that time back in the day was, you had the early hip hoppers, I guess you could say. Yeah, Muhammad Ali, Cassius Clay, spitting stuff out, and the music
Dropping
of the
bars.
time.
He was spitting
Right.
bars. You know what I'm saying?
Right. And that's how it is. It carries on. So the
Yeah,
music, martial arts, and everything goes hand in hand with the air. So I do have questions I want to ask about that, like we did, BKF in the house. This is the founder, one of the founders of the BKF, and
yeah,
that's great, man. It's like full circle on this whole epic adventure we've been going, talking to all these iconic martial artists, man. It's great.
yeah.
It's great.
For me, like you speak about this journey that we took on. We talk about just martial arts across the board. You know what I'm saying? We done had
Mhm.
T Bone come through, being our tour guide through the culture of
Yes.
martial arts. You know what I mean? And
Yes.
today it is one of them full circle moments. You know what I mean? When we talk about people of color
Hmm.
that decides to take this on. You know what I'm saying? And it's so related when we talk about hip hop because it's something that you got to work for. You know what I'm saying? It's something
Hmm.
that people consider theirs. You know what I'm saying? Because
Hmm.
hip hop, we feel like it's ours. You know what I mean? And but we're
It's
open to
ours.
other people to come in, and hip hop is global now. And that's the similarities when we talk about martial arts. You know what I
Martial
mean? People
arts.
they're
Exactly.
territorial. You know what I'm saying when we talk about it, but it's spreading, and it
Travel.
became global, and it became international, similar
Hmm.
to hip hop. You know what I mean? And when you're
Hmm.
working out, I know so many athletes when they working out, they listening to hip hop.
Yep.
When they're working
Yep.
on they're perfecting their art, they listening to hip hop because of motivation. So it just goes hand in hand. And to have
Hmm.
somebody, like Steve Muhammad, coming on the show with the BKF, man, it's something that it
BKF.
motivates the culture. You know what
Yeah.
I mean?
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
lets us know that it's so much bigger than what we see. You know what I
Then
mean?
what we
And I
see. Yeah.
love that. Especially with the temperature of the country. You know what I mean? We
Yes.
got
The
so many.
climate.
That's what
Hmm.
I'm saying. So it's good to see. You know what I'm saying? Especially right now when we're at a time where we need to know ourselves. We need to stand for certain things. We need to be more healthy. We need to be able to protect ourselves. We need to know about our culture. You know what I mean? So
Yes.
again, this show
Yes.
is one of them shows, man. It brings it right back around,
Full
and
circle.
it just adds and continues to the legacy of what we've been building, man. So I'm super excited.
That's real talk, and that's the way it's going down. And you said a key point, what I like too, when you attach hip hop and martial arts, like hip hop is take something and make it your own, something that somebody else's, flip it, and make it your own. Martial arts, same way. You take different pieces of different arts and crafts and make it your own. We learned that, the whole way, so, and it's great. And I think we're at the top of the food chain in that category of martial arts and fighting systems tonight here with Steve Muhammad and his guest and our other guest, RITA JOYCE. This is a great episode right here.
Absolutely. So look, y'all already know what we're going to do. We're going to take us a quick break, pay some bills, and we're going to be right back with that boy T-Bone, you know what I mean? And we're going to
get it jumping.
You already know the vibes. We'll be right back after these breaks. T-Bone, what's going on today?
There he is.
Brother PStock on Bigg Walk.
The award was, it was kind of interesting because I went back and forth with this award. And so all of you martial artists know that someone always contacts you and say, hey, we have this award for you. You've been nominated. We want to present this to you. And then there's this pause. If you send us $755.
I like what you said. It's for the BKF.
Yeah.
You represent the BKF. So it's everybody's involved. Whenever you got it, the whole BKF.
Absolutely.
My name's Dennis Odambo. I was trained early '98 by my grandmaster Ahmed Adelaide, and I was so close to him so much. What I can remember so much is when he hit me with hammer fist to the groin.
He's like, I don't want to hurt you. I was like, what are you talking about? He only 10 years old. He kicked me right in my scrotum, dude. And I fell. And when I fell, her eyes got big, and she turned around and said, when I get myself together, I'm going to kill you. So on the way home, on the way back to the base, I'm like, man, this 10-year-old girl, I think this should have just kicked my ass. Man, I got
Dress the culture, I'm address the culture, we gon' talk about it. Come address the culture, we gon' talk about it. Come address the culture, we gon' talk about it. Come address the culture, we gon' talk about it. Come and address the culture, huh?
Hi, I'm Ron Van Cleef. This is my book, The Hanged Man. I was lynched by the Ku Klux Klan in 1963 in Kingston, North Carolina. This is my story.
Grandmaster Ron Van Cleef in the house. Welcome to Address the Culture, sir. I mean,
Thank you so much.
It's an honor and a privilege. One of your teachers, Master Moses Powell.
My first teacher.
Have you met Steve Muhammad?
Oh, Steve Muhammad beat me one time. He beat me at the International Championship in Long Beach, California, at Parker's Tournament.
Wow.
But he and I went to Panama together maybe 4 or 5 years ago. I said, do you remember when you beat me at the International? He said, no, I don't remember. Why would you remember? He beat like 8 guys that guy in a row.
He was beating guys. Wow.
What a wonderful man. And even Bruce told me, he's the fastest hands he's ever seen. Bruce started training me in Jeet Kune Do and Wing Chun. He's the one that introduced me to Leon Tang and Seto Kwak and all these great Wing Chun masters, And so Wing Chun really helped me in my 60 years of competition. It was all sex, drugs, and rock and roll.
Yeah.
I hung out with Mick Jagger for a lot of years. Richie Havens was another one of my students who excelled. He was such a great musician and singer. So I worked for James Brown and Wilson Pickett. I've been on the road with those guys.
Wow, yeah.
Cool.
So you're exposed to the women,
Good.
drugs, parties.
Oh my goodness.
Hi, this is Michael J. White, and I am honored to be inducted into the Ultimate Warrior Hall of Fame by two such legends as Grandmaster Al DeCoscos and Grandmaster Ron Van Cleef.
Dress the culture, I'm address the culture, we gon' talk about it. Come address the culture, we gon'
We are
What's going
back.
on? We are back.
T-Bone.
How's it going,
Back.
fellas?
Season 2.
What
Season 2.
an unbelievable season 2 opener, man. We have Sijo Steve Muhammad on the show today with his top female category black belt, RITA JOYCE, who's also a healer, and she was healing at Legacy 9 Las Vegas, you know. But, you know, growing up as a child in the 60s, and the fact that my uncle, Sonny Paulbrica, he was a writer for Black Belt Magazine when it was O'Hara Brothers. And he was here in Northern California, but he also would stay up in Long Beach and travel around writing various articles. So we always got those older Black Belt Magazine articles that he had written, some of Gogan Yamaguchi, Masayama. But that's what kept us in tune with the martial art world back then. And the gentleman we have on the show today, I remember reading about him as a young child, you know, and the influence that he did in so many of us, you know. I mean, I've read articles where Bruce Lee said that Sijo Steve Muhammad had the fastest hands he's ever seen.
Yeah.
So you know, to have a man like that, and then watching Enter the Dragon, with Jim Kelly paying respect to Sijo Steve Muhammad's school in the movie, that really identified a lot of us kids growing up at that time period who he was, other than reading about his fights at Long Beach International or worldwide. Very, very accomplished martial artist, you know, it still is. But to have him on the show today, fabulous, man. Fabulous. I couldn't be more honored, you know. But here he is, Steve Muhammad. And one of the other co-founders that I became friends with was the late Cliff Stewart. And I met him at the late Grandmaster Angel Cabales' home on a couple of occasions back then. And we'd sit and we'd talk history, you know, and he'd tell me about the history of the BKF too. So, you know, going back to my 20s, training under the late Grandmaster Angel Cabales, and then getting an opportunity to talk to so many people that train under the BKF. You know, I made a lot of friends. And very inspiring, you know. I've seen everything in the past shows that we've had, guys, with Casey Jones and Sam Pace, and me, you know, and everything they shared with us. But now we got one of the main figures of the BKF on the show today. Wow.
The legacy continues, you know what I mean?
Legacy continues,
T-Bone, what does a show like this do for you? Like, what does a show like this represent to you as far as your legacy? Everything that you've put into the culture. What does a show like this do for you, bro?
To be able to help coordinate a show at this level is true legacy of what helped develop the martial arts. You know, you have all the great martial artists from Hawaii that came here, and then by them coming here, and matter of fact, my late uncle Sonny Paulbrica, he was responsible for bringing a lot of the martial artists from Hawaii here, because that's where he was from. You know, and he trained under Okazaki Sensei. You know, he knew Tiny Lafiti. He used to bring a lot of the martial artists to my grandpa's house, and they used to jam music, Hawaiian style music, and they perform. But that's where it really connected with my family back in that time, because my uncle Sonny was a writer during Black Belt Magazine when it was under O'Hara Brothers. So he'd give us the magazines, we'd read them, and he'd talk story about all the various people that he met. One individual he brought to the house, his name was Tiny Lafiti. And Tiny was big. He was like 6'5". So when he walked in and introduced him, you know, it was like Tiny, you know, my dad.
Tiny's always big, right?
You know, but I'll ask Sijo Steve Muhammad if he knew Tiny Lafiti, the late Tiny Lafiti. He passed away in the 70s, but I got to meet a lot of the martial artists through my uncle Sonny Calabrica and through the articles that he had written, back in the mid 60s, and yeah, that was Ogan Yamaguchi lineage. My sensei was the not the late, but he's still alive, Sensei Rodney Hu, Rodney Hu. That was my first sensei out of here in Northern California, but he trained in Hawaii, and from Hawaii he came here. Then he had connected with Gogan Yamaguchi, and he was on the 1970 team that went to Japan to fight. And I was talking on the conversation with Sijo Muhammad about it, but I do have the photos of him and the team that went back in the 1970s. And that was them guys have played, man. The Japanese in Japan, they came after us.
Yeah.
They tried to kill us. When they got on the floor, it was like a free for all. But I'd love to hear Sijo Muhammad talk about that too, because he had mentioned that on the phone a couple of weeks ago. And it was rough. It was rough back in those days. But hey, guys, here we are, season 2. What a grand opening, huh? Sijo Steve Muhammad, RITA JOYCE.
It's grand open. That's the way to open the season right here.
Great opening season.
That's the way to hit the family reunion with a great act to come and entertain and tell the stories and keep everybody going. And that's what it is.
Inspiring, Inspiring.
Yeah, inspiring. That's what this digital record's for. It'll be here forever. Everybody can go ahead and reference it forever. The BKF, for those who didn't know or didn't have a chance to, experience it or in your city or community, because it's big. So these records are important. So we hope it inspires the young, African Americans in the country now to take back to the martial arts, to take back to building the community. It's all building.
Understand the history.
To understand the history. That's the biggest thing I find with that. The men that Sijo Steve trained and shaped and took from his experience to life, that's the most rewarding thing, because these guys passing it on. We talked to them, man. We talked to them from Kenya. Got the whole movement going over there.
Civil rights movement. The beginning, Long Beach International. That's where it all started.
We got to hear about some of them. Let's get Sijo on, because them stories right there. That Long Beach International. Well, I mean that was the play. Even Ron Van Cleef said, Sijo went through and just beat everybody up. I was like, wow, yeah, that's the deal. Said he beat everybody. So I'm like,
look, we ain't gonna waste no more time. We gonna bring in Steve Muhammad as well as RITA JOYCE. Welcome them both to the show. How are you guys doing? Welcome to the show.
Welcome to the show. Welcome.
Thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you for having us.
Yes. Sijo Steve, you got your mic muted. You got to unmute your mic. Your mic. There you go. There you go.
Thank you.
Yeah, there you go. There you go, man.
Thank you
Welcome to the show. Thank you. We appreciate you guys coming to the show.
It's an honor. Yes.
Oh, yes, sir. I thank you, my brothers, for being honored. Like when I hear you speak of the people that I knew back in the day, that was a magnificent time for us. In particular, meeting that giant you call Tiny. That was the biggest man I've ever seen in my life.
That's how we felt when he came into my grandpa's home, with my Uncle Sonny Calabrica. Did you know my Uncle Sonny, Sijo?
What, Sonny? Yes, sir.
You knew Sonny Calabrica, huh?
Yes,
yeah. Yeah, he used to have parties at the Presidio, and he'd bring all the martial artists in. They jam music and all of that. And yeah, he was also a writer, for Black Belt Magazine in the early 60s, all the way up to about 70, I believe. And Dogen Yamaguchi, he went and lived in Japan and wrote that article, and I believe he wrote Matsuyama's article too. And you'd have to live with them back in those days. It's very different back then, the way they've written the magazines. They used to have to go and live with them, and train with them too, just to get an article and information. So Uncle Sonny used to share a lot of that information with us, as kids, listening to them. But reading the magazines, I remember seeing you always in there. You're always in the magazines, at the highest level of competition. So, and then as a kid growing up, watching Enter the Dragon and seeing who you are, in the film, with Jim Kelly, paying respect to you, that was a huge part of a lot of our lives, coming up at that time. See, Filipinos back then, we didn't have no heroes, man, on television. So anybody Asian or of color,
any kind of color. Absolutely.
Yeah, African Americans had the same issue.
Yeah.
That's why Enter the Dragon is an important film, and they're just as important as They Call Me Mr. Tibbs in The Heat of the Night with Sidney Poitier was.
Absolutely.
But Sijo Steve, can you take us back to where it started from with you, sir? Where did you gain your knowledge and your training to take it on and pass it forward, and leading up to the founding of BKF?
When I was about 13 years old, I asked my mom if I could find a job. She said, "You're too young." So she said, "But you can go and see if you can find one." Well, I had looked all day, and I went to a and told him that I was 13 years old and that I was looking for a job and that I could do anything they wanted me to do. So they said, "How about, can you help in cleaning up?" I said, "Yes." They hired me and told me I had to be there at 5:00 a.m. in the morning to start work. So I went there and started work. And what I saw was then one day I went early and I saw them doing what I learned later on, what they call the whole family doing. So what they were doing, they said Chinese exercise. So I asked if I could join, and they did that. I did that for 5 years that I took Chinese exercise. Never knew I had taken any. I didn't know the name martial arts or karate at the time.
Mm-hmm.
This was back in the 50s. But
having some difficulties here.
I went into the Marine Corps, and I went to Okinawa, and I saw Goju, a guy doing Goju for the Marine Corps at the time, what branch I was in. After he demonstrated for us, I said, "Man, I can do something similar to that, but I don't understand why it looks similar." And he said, "Well, show me." I started showing him the Tai Chi movements. He says, "Oh, Tai Chi." I said, "Oh no, this is Chinese exercise." Like I back to the, and I went. This was about 64, I think. I was in Marine Corps, and I was driving down the street, and I saw this sign. I think it was said Ed Parker for Karate, something like that, West LA. And I went inside, and the teacher was Danny Inosanto. That was my first teacher.
Danny Inosanto. Wow, yeah.
That was my first teacher, and that's when I started meeting Gregory Master Parker, Chuck Sullivan, and all those guys. But that was my real introduction to the martial arts.
Yeah, Sijo, my mom and dad, they went to the same schools with Sifu Dan and Santo. They went to the same grammar school, middle school, high school together. And they were friends growing up here in Stockton. So, you know, for him to be one of your first teachers, you know, that's amazing. Very amazing.
Yes, sir. And I actually stayed under him until I made brown belt. And I saw Chuck Sullivan. And Chuck Sullivan came by. And I said, that guy's about my size and everything. I said, man, I wonder if I, like I was in the Marine Corps, I said, I wonder if I could transfer over to his school. So I went and asked him if I could transfer. He says, Steve, you're not in the military. He didn't know I was in the military. He said, you don't have to come over. So I made black belt under Chuck Sullivan. From that point, I continued on from that point.
So in the beginning, from your journey from the beginning to you getting your black belt, was it difficult being a man of color coming into something like this?
African American.
You know what I mean? Were you accepted, or was it something that you had to earn, or just what was your experiences? You know, because like we've learned, the more we've gotten into this, that it's territorial. You know what I mean?
Tribal.
It's very tribal. You know what I mean? Like you not only do they want to keep the secrets within themselves, they want to know that you're serious. You know what I mean? Like they don't play no games. Like you have to be true to it. So in your experience, just being a black man coming into something that was unfamiliar to you, what was your experiences in the beginning?
Oh yes, sir. At the West LA school, they really didn't want me. I was the only black that was in there.
Yeah.
And they really didn't want me there. But Danny, and when he let me in, I thought that, man, I thought everybody who wanted to beat me up and did beat me up.
Yeah.
I used to look at the blood on the floor and on the walls. I used to, is that all mine? Because he stopped me and everything. And so one day I said, Danny, I said, you know, I'm tired of getting beat up. He said, do something about it. Learn. So, now that sounds great. Now how am I going to learn? But he that when he started teaching, I started learning just from what he told me. Learn.
Yeah.
Learn how, you know, I started doing that. I was fighting this named Scotty Lauren, which is the baddest white boy in school. Baddest white boy I had ever seen, really.
Yeah.
So we got ready to fight, and he did like a feint. I shift back. I thought to myself, I said, saw him. I saw him move when he moved.
Yeah.
Every time he moved at me, I would shift away. He told me, why don't you stand and fight? I said, I'm going to try. So I started making little quick movements in the groin. I really kicked him in the inside of his leg. He became very angry. And, I turned and ran.
Say, made this man mad.
Me.
Woke up the beast.
When he went over I went over by the wall, and he punched at me, and I looked over my shoulder because I had my back to him. He was throwing a punch. I slid down the wall real quick. He knocked a hole in the wall. So
he was mad trying to get you.
Angry about it.
So that hole was meant for you, huh?
That's right.
Yeah.
I had nerve enough to stand up and say, let him go. I didn't really mean it. They didn't let him go at the time. He was so angry about me touching him that he quit. I didn't speak to him for about 30 years. And Chuck Sullivan says, I have somebody on the phone for you. You guys know who Chuck is, right?
Chuck Sullivan. I don't think he's been on the show.
I've heard of him. I've heard of him.
Well, he called me and said, I have somebody for you. And I got on the phone with him. I recognized his voice right away. I said, Scotty Lawrence? Yeah.
Wow.
He said, I would like to apologize for my feelings. Because I know it's been, but he said, I didn't like how good you were becoming when you started to fight that day you fought me. He says, I couldn't really take that you were able to actually score on me.
Wow.
He says, take it. He actually quit. You know.
Wow.
And I never saw him. I haven't seen him really since then. I just talked with him. But there was a tournament that I was in. I was fighting Joe Louis. This is when I started to learn more about time. I fought Joe Louis at the international that year, and they did.
Wow.
The heavyweight champion of the world, Joe Louis.
Joe Louis, yeah.
Joe Louis,
a martial artist. Yeah,
he was a martial artist. Yeah.
Yeah, and they wouldn't give me a point. I kept hearing Chuck Norris yell out, "Give the damn man his points," you know, but they wouldn't do it. And when I got off, this big guy called Tiny, I was walking down the hallway. He came and grabbed me and picked me up. He said, "Steve, they cheat you." I said, "Yes, I know, Tiny." He said, "You knock him out." I said, "No, Tiny." I said, "I couldn't do that. It wasn't."
Wow.
It wasn't Joe Lewis's fault. I said it was the fault of the judges and the referee. They cheated, not him.
Yeah.
But it's okay. You knock him out anyway. You know, I said. Okay.
Wow.
That was the thing for y'all in those days coming up, though.
Yeah.
We talked about it with the points, with them cheating your fighters, your students and everything in the tournaments out of the points, correct?
That's correct. That's why the BKF was formed.
Mm.
What had happened to me, and when I was fighting there wasn't hardly any blacks. At the tournament, most of the time, there were only about 3 or 4 of us, yet there would be hundreds and hundreds of people at the tournament. About, 3 or 4 of us. So we had no reputation. Nobody could go in the ring because you can't talk for yourself. So no one would go in the ring and speak up for you. So when you got cheated, I even said to Great Grandmaster Parker one day, after fighting Joe Louis the same day, I said, when I got off, he was standing by the stairs, and I said, "Great Grandmaster," I said, "they cheated me." And he says, "Yes, I know, Steve. They're not ready for a black champion at this time." And I said, "But my time is now. I'm here now." I said, "That may have been the best fight I've ever done in my life because I came really prepared to be the international grand champion. And yet I was unable to do that." He said, "I understand, but they're not ready for that."
Wow.
That's history. That's
history.
History.
That's amazing. You spoke about the BKF, and we're gonna get into that, and we're gonna get into so much more. But we're gonna take us a quick break, pay some bills, and we're gonna talk to RITA JOYCE. You know what I mean? Because she's been doing her thing, so we gotta hear, coming from the lady's perspective, and everything she got going. So we're gonna take us a quick break. We'll be right back with the BKF legends. Y'all already know. We'll be right back. We got the one. We got the only. We got that boy Ace Hood in the building.
I just needed to go through my process. But for me, what I learned about myself is that I was like, when I was with the major label in this situation, I noticed how much power I gave away, how much ideas and yeses and okays that I.
What would, when we talk about just the beginning, what would Blood, Sweat, and Tears Ace say to Energy Ace right now?
Oh, man, I'm proud of you. The reality is, man, it's like, this is what I learned. It's that it's not the industry that sort of speak the issue. It's like the individual that chooses to go in the industry, whether or not you are prepared for that. That's what I would say.
And I learned that positive attitude in my life has got me where I'm at today by understanding that we're going to have some falls. But boy, it doesn't take us going homeless to get there, you know?
Yeah,
that's a fall we don't want to do. So I want to try to help us get out of the fall. And that's why I liked about Dr. E is bringing up the opportunity to save the homeless. You know, and every idea doesn't always go the best you want it to go. Let's be honest. But what will work if you put your mind, heart, and soul into it. Put God first, and you can make it. And I think if we can do that right now, we can really help everybody get ahead in a better realm, you know? So... So not only that, you guys, we are also award-winning Cream, Arizona Cannabis Music Awards Festival, Best Topical Arizona, sent to Nova Scotia for all of our veterans out there as a battle bomb. Talking to Dr. Judy Mikovits about saving how many people we can do. She calls us the Miracle Cream. Everything I gave out started healing everybody as it does every time. I love you guys, man. Woo!
We are back with the legends themselves, talking about so many different legendary moments in history. We talk about martial arts, coming from nothing, you know, right here on this platform in hip hop. We can definitely relate to that. And as you can see, we got a lady in the building. You know what I mean? Don't get it twisted, because she will put hands on you. You know what I'm talking about?
Steve, Rita, your mic is off. Rita, you can unmute your mic. And Steve, she's your student, Sijo Steve. So give us a little, give Rita an introduction. You know, let them know.
Oh yes, sir. She came to my school. And what year was that, Rita? That you came to my school?
I couldn't hear you, sir.
What year was that you came to my school?
I came to your school in 1981.
In 1981? Wow. I think we were on Crenshaw.
I came in 1981, sir.
Yes, ma'am. We were on Crenshaw. When she came into the school, I thought she was about 13
Broadway.
years.
We were at Steinway.
Dressing the culture, I'm addressing the culture, huh? Addressing the culture, I'm addressing the culture, huh? Addressing the culture,
So yes, I started with Josie Steve in 1981, and that was the most momentous time of my life.
So just tell us about that time in the beginning when you first started and you was trying to just get your foot in the door, because like he said, when he first met you, you looked like you was 13 or 14, but you was actually 19, 20. You know what I mean? And he said a great line. He said he wanted the ladies to fight like a man and walk away like a lady. You know what I mean? And you became a force. You know what I mean? So can you just talk about just your experience coming up in such a legendary organization that helps so many people learn how to defend themselves as an entire lifestyle? It wasn't just about fighting. It was a lifestyle. You know what I mean? So can you just talk about your journey and some of the things you learned from such a legendary organization?
Absolutely. When I came, I didn't know what to expect. It was my first, he was my first instructor, my first encounter. And he was mean. He was a mean, lean fighting machine.
We heard that before. We heard that.
But you know, that's what kept me coming back, though. I came my first class, and it was like an addiction. I had to come back for more. And I kept coming, and he made me stronger and made me faster. And I always said in the beginning, if I can be a tenth as fast as he is, I would be happy. And I'm still saying the same thing.
That's right.
He really empowered me to fight like a man and walk away from a woman, because we had to fight. There was not a lot of women at the time. There was just a few of us. And so the majority of my classmates were all men. And so I had to own up if I wanted to move up in rank, I had to be able to fight with them and work with them and hold my own. So I'm so glad that I was able to do so. They didn't make it easy either.
What was some of the things that you learned, like just personally, that helped you throughout your life? Some of the skills and lessons that you learned just coming up, developing in the culture.
Stay focused. To be disciplined. You have to motivate yourself because nobody's going to fight for you. I knew in the early 80s and late 70s that if a woman needed help, that she couldn't depend on someone else to come to her aid. So for me, it was about surviving and be able to get out of situations. So it helped me to manage to get out of dangerous situations and just to be a stronger woman, but yet be a female. So made it kind of tough in dating arenas because a lot of men look at me as being intimidating, and I'm like, how am I intimidating? But I was.
Wasn't having that stuff. Well, you knock one of them out. Try to get them to think about it. That's wonderful. So at that time, so you came in 81, and so at that time, did you train as well and fight at the Long Beach tournaments as well? I know they have women, or did they have the women at the time?
Yes, they did. I trained and I competed for a long time. I stopped competing. I did go to the internationals, but I never competed for grand champion. At the time, I just didn't have the interest to do that type of fighting. I wanted to do more like street fighting or in close combat fighting. And so, but at the time, I was beginning to lean more toward the healing aspect because there was something he said very important. I don't know, Poppy, if you realize how it impacted me. You had mentioned in class you were teaching, and you said, if you have the ability to maim or dismember your opponent, you should also have the ability to heal. And so my insights, my direction took the path of healing and wellness. But he inspired me.
I love that. I love that. How you came from learning the art until healing in the art. You know what I mean? That's a growth, and that's one thing that me and P always talking about, that we love about the culture, the evolution, right? Because just because you come in one way doesn't necessarily mean you're gonna end up being that way. You know what I mean?
That's right.
And that's one of the things with hip hop as well. You know what I mean? So many people come in in so many different aspects, and they come in as an artist, but end up being an owner, a CEO, being going into so many different other lanes because hip hop management. There's so many different lanes within hip hop. And that's what we're learning, another correlation with the martial arts. Okay, you kind of talk to us and explain why you chose to go that route and how has going that route made you grow, just as a person. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. We don't realize the impact we have on our bodies when we're doing all this hard training, and we're pounding and we're hitting and we're kicking and we're punching and we're hitting objects and breaking bricks and we're breaking boards. The impact it's having on our joints and our body. Everything is vibration, and we're vibrating that energy and frequency through our body and through our joints. And so more and more over time, as you notice, we don't pay attention to it in the beginning because we want to be that warrior. We want to be the strong fighter, the strongest. But what happens over time, the joints and the muscles start breaking down with age, with anyone. And we start having hip issues or knee issues, or a lot of people that I know in the arts, they're having some type of injury that they're still recovering from. So it's important that you do self-care during your journey and don't wait until you have an injury, but just do self-care like massage or acupuncture or chiropractic and eating healthy. That's nutrition is number one, so that your body can be able to withstand going through the training and being able to have longevity. So, but it's been very impactful for me because it's become a way of life for me, and I really try to help others find their way.
That's good.
You know, Rita, Palakanamo was supposed to be on the show today, but his cousin, Kaipo Tulasaga, passed away yesterday. Okay, now, Kaipo was with him at the Long Beach Internationals the week before the event for the big guy. And I'm glad he got to make that event because he got to be able to come to the Legacy Line. And he's been to a couple of the legacies too. And, you know, I'd like to let you guys know that the late Tino Tulasaga's youngest son passed away yesterday, Kaipo Tulasaga. So.
That's deep. That's heavy. Within the healing side of things. And we're going to have Rita back on with Palaka. You know, we're going to have that show, that episode too. And Steve, Sijo Steve, I want a quick question. I want to get back in the day with Long Beach and in the early days with the forming of BKF. What was the impact that Yunts had with the Black Panther movement, as well as the movement's impact with the BKF, and the good, because as well as the Black Panther Party did early on with the social movement and programs, which was needed then and needed today in the communities, but the BKF did the same thing with men and women, taking them off, giving them a place, showing them how to fight. But what was some of the impact that gents had with each other and with the climate back then, with the racism and everything, with the points cheating and shaving? And there was also a 8 precinct clear out at Long Beach International one time, right?
Yes, sir. When, we went to the Internationals the first year that we formed the BK. Well, it may not be the first year, the next 2 years. Mm-hmm. We were forming the BKF. We went to Long Beach International, and we were standing outside waiting to get in. And that had never happened to me before. Usually someone just say, come in. But because about 120 of us that went to the International, that was the biggest group of Black people they had ever seen at the International. But I wasn't thinking about that when we had gone. Mm-hmm. All of a sudden, Long Beach PD, police department, showed up. And they asked me, what's going on out here? I said, I don't know. He said, we're here looking for a group of people that they say is going to probably come inside and, you know, create a lot of problems inside. So I said, I don't know who they are. And he said, he went back a little bit and come back and he said, do you know anybody by the name of Steve Sanders? I said, yes, that's me. So someone told him who was in charge of the BKF at that time.
Right.
Says, wow. You don't appear to be creating any type of problem. So I said, no, sir, all we want to do is get in. Someone went inside and got Miss Parker. And she and when she came outside, she's looking around and she said, I came out here because the police said there was a problem out here. And he says, yeah, they gave this guy's name. She said, Steve? She said, oh, Steve, come on in. So everything stopped and we went into the inside of the building, you know. And she said, I'm so happy you guys are not with you. I said, about 120. 120? I said, this is our first tournament as a group, and we would like to come in. And I guaranteed her, because they seem think we were going to create a problem. I
Yeah.
said, my children are well disciplined. We will have no problem. She told me, she said, Steve, your word is good. Come on in and have a great time. And we did. We had a great time that year. But the first time we went, they did not want to. But now they have a problem because now we can go in, myself and some of the older guys like Big Cliff and Jerry Smith, Donnie Williams, like that. We could now go into the ring and speak on behalf of our students. We can do that before. We couldn't speak for ourselves.
Right.
They can see there's a problem brewing because now they can stop the ring and say, whoa, you're cheating my people.
Right.
I want to stop. You know? So
a big voice to question cheating. And we have over 100 fighters in there. So
over 100 paying fighters, because I'm sure you had to pay to register and everything. So, you know, that's you probably brought them the largest amount of money they had that day.
Most definitely.
It wasn't fighters. It was like moms and dads and sisters and brothers. It was
packed house.
And yeah, from the school, they brought their mothers and fathers with them when they you know, so family type thing.
Yeah,
and they had no problem with us at all. The children were very disciplined, very respectful. And Mr. Parker actually came over to me and said, you know, he says, man, some people were talking about they thought there was going to be a problem. They knew you guys were outside, you know. But he says, it's you really honored me by making sure nothing went wrong. I said, yes, sir.
Yeah. I love that energy, and I kind of want to double down on what P asked, but I wanted to hear that amazing story. You know what I mean? When we talk about the Black Panther and the BKF, how did you guys link up to the point where you was affiliated with them, training people, helping to organize, and we like P said in the beginning, we know where it stems from. It stems from
Jim Crow,
policing our own
racism.
communities and having programs in our own community and defending ourselves and, you know, standing up for ourselves, giving ourselves some empowerment. You know what I mean? And later on, the narrative changed and things, the lines got blurred. You know what I mean? And that's the part of history when you speak about the Black Panthers that I personally take offense to, because we know what it's about, but the narrative got changed. You know what I mean? So I'm so curious to hear from you and how you guys became affiliated and your role in the Black Panthers and how do you feel about the Black Panthers today?
Oh, brother, at the Internationals one year, they actually announced that we have the Black Panther Karate Federation here.
Wow. Wow.
I didn't know they were talking about me. And they said, and the leader of the Black Panther Karate Federation or organization, whatever word they use, is Sanders.
Wow.
They gave you the job.
I actually went up there that year and I told them, I said, I don't know the Black Panthers in that manner at the moment. I know them.
Yeah.
I said, what I know of them, it was good.
Yeah.
You know, feeding people. They have medical little shops and stuff now, taking care of the people.
Yeah.
I said, we love them. We have no problem with them. But I said, it's called the Black Karate Federation.
Yeah.
But we have no problem with them. And we didn't. Those brothers, H. Red Brown and all those guys, I knew them. I go to the meetings all the time, you know. But I had no problem with them. And I also taught them the martial.
Yeah.
I went to their school. When I became a police officer, I remember coming out of the building for the Panthers. And there was a guy across the street. He said, "Steve," he threw up a power sign to me. I threw it
Yeah.
back there. When I went to become a police officer, they had that the guy, the lieutenant that was interviewing me from LA. He had that picture on his desk. So he said,
Wow.
he says, "Have you ever been connected to any
Wow.
diversity organization?" I said, "I don't know what you mean by diversity." I said, "But I know some people, you
Right.
know, you consider to be someone other than an American, but
Yeah.
I don't know any." So he raised that picture, and there I was with my fist in the air.
Fist pump. Affiliated. Wow.
I'm gonna get that job. I can see that now.
Yeah, they pulling them pictures.
Civil rights movement, right?
Absolutely. Civil rights movement and with the Black Panther. So now I'm so curious. By you being a police officer, a black man in America, a police officer with the injustice and everything that's going on, you enter in such a territorial culture when we talk about martial arts. So this is something that you used to, because being a police officer, they're territorial too. You know what I mean? That's another organization within itself, and you're a black man. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I could just imagine the conflicts, the daily conflicts that you were going through. Just with everything. You know what I mean?
Discriminatory, and promotions and assignments and advancement. The same stuff we deal with today. I believe.
So how was you able to balance that? Everything that P just said, being a police officer with the climate of this country, with the martial arts, how did you navigate that?
Well, I had to deal with about 6 to 8 months of doing whatever they told me to do, even when I thought that this isn't right, it's incorrect. But I was on probation. They could fire me as long as I was on probation. I had been told that by some of the people who had been there for a while. So he said, "Make probation, then you can start to do whatever you want to do." But I actually physically fought other police officers within other agencies that tried to deal with it wrong. I even had a couple of police officers that pulled me over in a place where at this time I was looking for a lady that I was going to take out. They saw me driving through the neighborhood and they pulled me over, made me lay in a field. Now I'm a police officer, and they made me lay down in the field. And this one police officer came up to me, told me to turn my head to the side, which was away from him, stuck a gun in my ear, and told me, "If you move, nigga, I will blow your head off." I didn't say anything. I just laid there. He started, and he found the gun, and he says, "This nigga's gun," told his partner. When he searched a little more, he was mad. And then this nigga is a cop. So the word nigga out of it, told me to let. And if I move until they took off, I was so angry about it. Tears coming because I am. I'm a cop, and I'm man by white, and went looking for them, not thinking never find them. There's hundreds of cars shooting all over the place. So I couldn't. So I knew that they were sheriffs. So I went to because they would probably be local within the, but I didn't get no job there. Well, we'll never find. We won't know, and we're not going to. But I started that time that you learn yourself or manipulate yourself, move in such a way where you can keep your job, but yet you have to be able to stand up. So I learned how to win, but also when they step back is out of hand, and they can also fight. But as I continued on, I got stronger in the way of how to deal with them because I began to learn how to manipulate the language, but not only how to manipulate myself within that work. I think when I left there, retired, I stayed there for 27. I had respect from many of them, but there were many, especially the good old boys. But there was nothing that he could do about it.
Because you were in LA, right? That was LA County or Los Angeles County?
It was LA County.
LAPD?
Oh no, LA County.
LA County is different. Yeah, they got the county, and then they got the PD, and got the different sheriff department and everything else.
What I see Sijo Muhammad had to go through was one of the highest levels of mastering humility throughout that time. To master humility, to get through that, to continue being a police officer. You know, I could imagine. I could only imagine what that was like, to stay focused and have your students, you know, everything else, but having to put up with that on the job.
I know you want to whoop a butt every day.
Mastering humility, yes, at the highest level. So I commend you for that. You know, during that era, during that time, what you had to succumb to.
To deal with that amount of ignorance, you know, and that's what it is.
Too, you know.
Wow. You know, they it got so bad one couple of times. I'm in the office on the phone. This guy from the LAPD came up and said, "I need some help," and I need some help now. I said, "I'm on the phone. I'll be with you in a few seconds." This guy actually grabbed the phone out of my hand, threw it down on the floor, and he's a police officer from the LAPD. I didn't know I was going to hit him, but I did. I hit him, and he went down. And when he went down, I kind of straddled him as he went down. I got a chance to hit him 2 more times.
Yeah.
My partner grabbed me and threw me out of the door, you know. And they said that I sucker punched them. They wanted me to come down to the station, but we made it neutral. And we went to this park.
Yeah.
He wanted to fight me. Now he doesn't know anything about me doing martial arts. He only fight me, gonna beat me up. And he's a Jew.
He just know you black. That's all he knows.
That's what he figured.
Yeah.
And he was known as a good fighter with LAPD. We went over, and when he came out, he almost used the word nigger. He says, "Are you ready? Are you ready?" I didn't say anything to him. So they said, okay, they cleared out the room, and it was like a place where they lift weights. They cleared the room. And when they cleared the room, they said, okay, you can begin now. They came out with him. They were fanning him like he was the world champion. But he had no idea that I was going to throw. He thought I was going to try and throw hands.
Right.
But I hit him with, I call a heel thrust. It's like a side kick. The most
kick,
I threw it like a heel thrust and hit him. And when I hit him, he started to stumble backwards. And when he stumbled backwards, he hit the wall. And when he hit the wall, I hit him again with a heel thrust.
He was on him.
That wall, man. He went down. You could just hear as he went down to the floor. And then my partner once again said, "Don't kill him, Steve." I said, I did too. They found out about that. All the police agents started to find out this guy can fight. And then they began to see me every now and then get in a street fight in something and say, "Man, this guy ain't no joke. This guy can fight."
Yeah.
So they began to kind of back off of me at that time. But it took some fights, and that was the only one I had. They even talked about how I speak the English language. I said something one day, and I was a training officer, and I was training a group of men in the sheriff department. And this one guy said, "Man, where were you born?" I said, here in the States. Why are you asking? He said, when you going to learn how to speak English? And I kind of looked at him and I said, I tell you what, if you teach me my original language, then I will speak yours better. He looked at me as like, what the heck you mean, your original language? Like I didn't have it before they brought my people over here. I didn't have it.
You have another language. They didn't have a language. They still don't.
That's right.
They still don't.
But I finally learned to manipulate myself within that type of, I guess you would call it atmosphere, where when we to stand up, I never backed down to any of them. I didn't care who they were. I never backed down anymore, because if I'm right, if I'm wrong, then I would say, I was wrong. I'll correct myself. But when I was right, I never backed down. And when I left, I think they were happy to see me go when I left.
Because they knew none of them could beat you. They knew none of them could beat you. You know, so I mean that's great. You know, and I never knew that. I never knew that you were a law enforcement officer in your career.
Oh yes, sir. And,
we never knew that.
I think that from I developed another way of fighting just from fighting on the street and fighting them. I actually developed a way of generating more power than I had ever generated before. But then a lot of that was because I worked undercover in East LA. The Mexican brothers would fight you all day, all night.
I love it. I love it. I love the journey, right? You know what I mean? Because like each aspect, you know, that we spoke about can be a story within itself. You know what I mean? And they all have their own traditions. And you know, coming up in just in this world, especially at the time period, it's so many levels to it. And you being involved in a martial arts, you being a police officer, you being a black man. When we talk about civil rights and everything that our people have went through, you've had some significant career choices. You know what I mean? That has created such an amazing legacy. You know what I mean? And we just talked about legacy. I want to ask both of you guys. You know what I mean? And I'm gonna come to the ladies, because you know what I'm saying, because I'm a gentleman. You know what I mean? RITA JOYCE. When it's all said and done, and you know everything that you've learned, and just moving forward in the culture, what would you want your legacy to be?
I would like, great question. I would like my legacy to be one that empowers other women and young girls to protect themselves, to heal themselves, because the woman, the mother, is the first contact to the child. And the mother is the nurturer and the healer before she sends them out into the world. So if we can tap into the women to get them to be stronger, to empower them and let them know that they are worthy, because we have a lot of society will make the woman feel is that she's not enough. And they have weakened our manpower to the point where he's not able to support his woman in the way that perhaps he would like to. So I want to bring the families together. So if I can have a hand in helping families come together and healing and wellness and self-protection, then my job is done.
That's a great legacy point to build on with it. And the same with, well, Sijo Steve, your legacy, we've had it on the show. You know, I mean, it goes on and it's global, you know, the legacy that you built and created. And that should be commended, because we need Steve Muhammad everywhere, you know, teaching and training our youth today, you know, keeping them on track. You know, it's hard because they took all the activity from our youth. So now our youth don't have nothing to do but play with guns and kill each other and everything else, you know. And to me, it's by design. You know, it's all part of their master plan for, you know. But you know, it's commendable, and we need that. And Rita and Steve, definitely want you back on the platform, you know, going forward future, because your wisdom and your experiences are needed, and we need our youth in the future to see you. You need to be more visible now. I mean, I understand you were and you are, but more people know. There's a lot of people that's been telling me, when you get Steve Muhammad on your show, let me know whatever is going, you know, so they can let up everybody know. And that's the impact that people say, you got who? You know, I mean, they're on it. Let me know when that show's running. So it's an honor and a privilege to have you on. And we would like for you to address the culture. You know, you're home away from home, the both of you, you know, with Darren T-Bone, you know, and everything to come through and spread wisdom, you know. And if you have any words of wisdom that you want to spread, you want to record them, send them over, and we'll run them to pair them like a wisdom of the day or of the month. Take this wisdom and go, you know, so we can motivate our youth and let them know that, you know, we come from this lineage. You know, you can do it. You can strive to help and advance yourself, you know, with that.
Could I say one more thing?
Yes, sir.
Absolutely. Hit us with your wisdom and your knowledge.
It's all day long.
Absolutely.
All day long.
Let's go.
I have brought into existence a science for fighting that is based off of Tempo, Wing Chun, Tai Chi, and boxing. And the science that has been created, and I'll tell you what I use each one of them for first. Tempo is my base of foundation. Wing Chun is for trapping and center line. Tai Chi is for footwork and fluidity. Boxing is for hand, speed, and targeting. It is a mathematical fighting science that can be actualized, 100% true, accurate, and precise, absent of doubt or fear, that has the ability to speak a water language of pure fluidity by flowing, shifting, changing, and creating, which is adaptability. It has the ability to seek and conform. I use seeking as offense, conforming as counter offense. And water has no defense in it. It will either counter or it will be offense. And in teaching them the science of fighting, the thought of losing, quitting, or having doubt does not exist. In my head, my heart, nor my weapon science. If there is doubt, there is no doubt. I will make or find another way. And there's always another way. That is what I'm teaching now. But the science in which I'm teaching, I heard Bruce Lee say one time, if you put water in a teacup, it becomes the teacup. I didn't know what he meant until I started to study water. Once I started to study water, it cannot be stopped once it's moving. It will continue forever as long as it's moving. There's nothing that can stand in front of water. It will make or find a way. That is the science that I have taken, over 40 some years to actually bring into existence. And Great Grandmaster Parker told me one day, he said, Steve, take what I have given to you and make it your own. I have done that now. So I would like to present Himwing Tai Bak. That is the name of it. Himwing Tai Bak, Tempo, Wing Chun, Tai Chi, and boxing. And I thought of that by listening to Tino and when they brought in Lima Lama. And I said, man, I know a little bit about, I only have a base in one, but I know a little bit about these other three sciences. So I'm going to see how I can put them together. And in that fighting science, you can actually see them within that fighting science. And I use angles of 45 and 90 degrees. No other angles than that. Every time I punch or kick or move against an opponent, he's either going to speak a language of 45 or 90 degrees. All I have to do is read that language and kill him. And so I would like to introduce that to the world. Himwing Taibak.
Wow.
Wow. Wow.
And look, and you did it right here.
Right here.
On Address the Culture. You know what I'm talking about?
Beautiful thing. Beautiful thing.
That's what I'm talking about. You know what I'm talking about?
Yes, sir. Yes,
Yeah. I wouldn't have it no other way. You know what I mean? And what we're going to do, we're going to have you back. And we're going to go into details. And we're going to break it down because I really believe as a culture, you know, being a black man in America, we need that. You know, like we need something in our culture that gives us respect, gives us discipline, gives us a sense of empowerment, self-awareness, health, culture, understanding, building a foundation. We need something like that. That gave me chill bumps because that is bigger. That's bigger than just learning how to fight. That is a lifestyle.
Bigger. Yes.
That is a lifestyle. And we all are fully aware that our existence was snatched away from us. You know what I mean? We really don't know everything that we supposed to know. But something like that can start a foundation. Something like that can start a tradition. Something like that can help our culture reach back and understand and want to know where we come from and want to believe that we are who we are. So I love that. I love that, and I champion that, and we're going to discuss that, and we need to promote that so more people can contact you, and more people can get involved, so that can change the course of so many people's lives. Because if people have the discipline and the understanding that you teach and that you have spread it throughout the culture, it will make us as a race a lot
stronger.
You know what I mean?
Stronger.
So I love that, brother, and thank you so much. If no one has told you that, thank you, brother, because that is so much needed in our culture.
Yes. It continues with your contributions to humanity that you bestow upon our community and you bring out of our community with this art, this fighting system that you created. You know, it's your work, your embodiment of everything you've done. And to come out of our community, we would love to be the ones to help let everyone know, hey,
absolutely,
it's time now, right here. You know, let's study.
Whatever you need from me, I will be there. Whatever you need.
Y'all heard it. Y'all heard it right here.
Yep. All we need now, all we need to really get it going is some info so we can put it on our websites, on our platforms. To make people aware. And right now, I understand you're in the Atlanta area as well. Are you on the East Coast? You're in Atlanta area? Okay, yeah, we got reach out there. You know, so we got people that's going to send some people to the school, whatever the information, where they can go and get it and everything. And RITA Joyce, you on the West Coast side of things too. No, you're not.
Not anymore. I was on the West Coast. I'm on Georgia as well. I'm in Brunswick, Georgia. But I just wanted to make an announcement. My business partner's sister, martial artist, Grandmaster Deidre Cole, and I are hosting a women's martial arts firearm certification class in February next year, February 4th. So I'd like to get some information out about that as well. It's going to be really smoking hot. So we have empty hand and we have loaded hand.
Go ahead, speak about it. Let us know what we need to hear.
It's going to be in Kennesaw, Georgia on February 4th on Saturday. And it's going to be from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. It's going to be 2 hours of martial arts training or martial science training and healing with energy. And then the last 4 hours is going to be hands-on firearm certification and training. I can get that information to you, but it's posted on our website at bolivu.live.
That's amazing. I love it. And you know, again, we're going to do everything that we need to do to help get that out. I love the energy. Shouts out to you guys, man. You really made our first episode of season two. Just what I wanted, because it brought it back full circle, just like Darren was speaking about earlier. You know what I mean? And it's something that we needed. So we are going to continue to move the message. You know what I mean? Keep our finger on the pulse of the culture, because again, conversations like this, knowing who we are, can't do nothing but help the culture. You know what I mean? Culture. Yeah. So again, we thank you. And Darren, is it anything that you want to say? I'm gonna give you the last word, Darren, because I know, you know what I mean. I know you feeling crazy yourself. Listen to everything we heard.
A couple of weeks ago, when me and Sijo Muhammad spoke on the telephone, you know, in having GM Ron Van Cleef on the show earlier this year, I was wondering of creating a show with Sijo Muhammad, GM Ron Van Cleef, and maybe GM Al DeCosco to all come together. Because I know you guys came up in the tournament circuit together way back. Would you be interested in a show with some friends of yours from way back, Sijo Steve Muhammad, like
yes, sir,
Ron Van Cleef and Al DeCosco?
Oh, you got. Oh, yes, sir.
Yes. Make it happen, T-Bone. Make it happen. Make it happen.
I think it would be fantastic if you guys could get together on the show and talk about the old days, you know?
Yeah, Ron Van Cleef told me, he said, I said, Ron, I said, do you know Steve Muhammad? He's like, yeah, he beat me. He beat everybody. He said he beat me at Long Beach International Tournament. He said he beat everybody. So he said I didn't feel as bad. He beat everybody.
I would love to, get that show going with all three of you, or even more. You know, any friends that you would like to come on the show. You know, we could fit up to 5, 6 people on the show. And if you want to, connect with some of your first students to come on the show, we can create that to happen too. But to have you and Ron Van Cleef and Al DeCosco on one show, talking about the old days,
that's a legendary show.
I don't think there's ever a show like that with you three on there and maybe more. That would be fantastic. Let's make that happen. Let's make that happen, because I know you and Ron Van Cleef is interested. He'd love to get on the show with you. And you guys can chop it up, man. You guys can talk. So that's something else that we can work on and bring you guys together. Okay? We and Ron's in Hawaii. His time's earlier. So you're 3 hours later. It'd be a 6-hour difference. But we can make this happen.
We're going to make it happen. We always do.
Okay?
We'll make it happen.
And GM Al DeCosco, he's on Oahu too. I believe him and Ron, they have breakfast together on occasion. In Hawaii. So.
Tell Al, he better be there.
That's right.
Okay, let's make that happen.
Consider it done. We're gonna make it happen. It's official. We spoke it, so we're gonna make it happen. You know, so we speak things into existence. That's what we do. So again, I want to thank you guys for coming on the show. We appreciate you. We love everything about you. And again, we're gonna do our part to move the message. You know what I mean? Time is something that we know you can't get back, so we appreciate you guys coming through, giving us yours. Okay.
Yes, sir. Could you send me a number, my wife, with any information that you need from her? My wife will be able to do that for you.
Okay, I'll get it over to Darren, and Darren can get it to you. And
we get it to Rita.
Yeah,
That's fine.
Fabulous. So big Lord Capone, PStock. Big shout out to our U19. What a fabulous opener for season 2.
Season 2.
Season 2.
Holiday 19. Holiday. That's another person too that Holiday 19 told me. He said Bruce Lee owes a lot of thanks to Steve Muhammad and Muhammad Ali. That's what he said. That's what he said. And I was like, no joke. You know. So that's great.
Yes, absolutely. So you guys already know, like, comment, subscribe, join the culture gang. So anytime we drop any kind of content, you'll be the first one to get it. Tap in to iHipHopTV. Tap in to Address the Culture. Roku, SSH101. We on Roku, Jess TV. We everywhere. You know what I mean? So y'all already know. Until next week, I'm your boy Big Wall.
I'm your man PStock.
And this is Address the Culture. And like I always say, your culture makes you who you are. So make sure they respect it. We're going to catch you on the next episode. We up out of here.
Hey, very good.
Thank you. Thank you.